away the compass, you are guided on the inside. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a fire under the ocean, there is lightning in the sky. There are angels at the window, they are whispering your name. Can you feel them? Will you trust them? Will you let yourself be small? How many more roads will it take for you to get there? You don't have to go it alone. Na 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 they are secrets hiding behind your fear. There are candles on the altar of all our hopes and dreams. They are burning like a fire, and it's raging like a storm. And I want you to tell me as I look into your eyes, and I want you to tell me as you look into my eyes. You know I love you as a child. You know I love you still. Cry into the vessel, swallow your tears like nectar. Raise a cup of sadness to hold the stars in heaven. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are the ones we've been waiting for. You are the one I've been waiting for. We are all the ones we've all been waiting for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes.
There we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swananoa Valley. My name is Rochelle Broom, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. We are a welcoming congregation, united on the side of love and justice. We like to say we don't have to think alike to love alike. We strive to walk through this life with both open hearts and open minds. May the time we spend together today in this place make us braver, more compassionate, and wiser than when we woke up this morning. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, I encourage you to take note of our mission statement, which is printed on the front of the order of service. We also work together to promote and practice the 8 principles, which are printed on the inside of your order of service. So it's our tradition to welcome first and second time visitors and folks who may not have been here for a while to stand if you're comfortable doing so and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. Right there.
Hi, I'm Ellen Thomas, and I live in Tryon, North Carolina. And I heard Dr. Carter speak last Sunday, and I had to bring my friends here to because Monica lives in Asheville, so I wanted to introduce her too.
Welcome.
Yes, and I'm Monica Toulouse from Asheville. Ellen just told me that I needed to come, I needed to hear the sermon, and she loves you dearly. She really spoke so highly of you, so thank you for having me.
Welcome. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jamie Spears. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, but I live down the street, and I use the opportunity to have my Mother's Day gift to have my family come to church with me today. So.
Welcome. Good to have you.
And this is Sean and Isla Rose and Malachi. my family.
Welcome to you all.
I'm Malin, and I was here last weekend for the first time. Been in Nashville a couple of years, and with my daughter Felicia, and happy to be here.
Good morning, I'm John Sullivan, a longtime member of the Silver Spring Unitarian Church, along with Marie Erickson, who's been a member for over 50 years here. I'm here to visit Marie Erickson and Heidi this weekend.
Anyone else on this side? How about this side of the sanctuary? All right, we got all the babies, all right? Welcome to you all. We are exceedingly glad that you're here with us today on this Mother's Day. If you're interested in learning more about us, and you'd like to receive our newsletter, or how you can find out how to be more involved in this community, there's a white card that you may find in the back of the pews. If you don't, there's one. If you don't see them there are a bunch on the table in the foyer. Please fill one out, and we will be in contact with you. You can either leave it on the table or you can drop it into the collection plate as it comes by. I have not heard about any announcements today, so I will move forward with our Native Peoples Acknowledgement. It's our practice to acknowledge that the land we are now gathered on here has not been ours always to call home. UUCSB acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and of other indigenous people. The Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and thrived in this land. We acknowledge their enduring connection to their homeland. Now, if everyone would please silence or power down your cell phone so that our service may begin.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. I just want to use these words to remind us why we're here from Unitarian Universalist Annie Dillard. She says, we are here to abet creation and to witness to it, to notice each other's beautiful faces, look around, and complex nature, so that creation doesn't have to play to an empty house. Please rise as you are willing and able, and join in singing our opening hymn to Mother Earth, For the Beauty of the Earth, hymn number 21.
Source of all to thee we raise.
Mother's Day reading is 573 in the back of the gray hymnal. As you know, I suddenly took this from the sermon title, Great Minds Think Alike. Julia Ward Howe. Let's read this responsively. Arise then, women of this day.
Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Oh my God, what have I done? Irrelevant agencies. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, of mercy, and of patience.
We women of one country will be true tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure others.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm.
The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession.
As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel.
Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead.
Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can finally live in peace.
And each bearing after her own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God.
And so it is. Mhm.
So this is the second Sunday when we enjoy special guest musicians, and today we're happy to have the music of Bill Altork. Bill Altork is enjoying life in his 75th year. He lives happily with Chitra on their tiny ranch up on Woodland Drive in Swannanoa. Bill's music and songs are therapy to him, finding expression for what he feels inside, and then sharing with those who care to listen. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. It is a ranch, you just have to use your imagination. Still had more to learn, but it's hard to feel love when your heart is being burned. I've gone let those wheels turn. I grew up in America, buffered in my white skin, unaware and unbelieving the position I was in. Rose-colored glasses affixed to my brain. I'm taking off those blinders so I can see again. Yeah, 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 yeah. Childhood looking for the fabled ground, sprouting up like mushrooms, houses all around. No room for the memories, everything was gone. The silence was deafening, but it did not make a sound. Oh, once I had a sweetheart, but now I have none. Once I had a sweetheart, but now I have none. She's gone and leave me. She's gone and leave me. She's gone and leave me to live on my own.
Okay. This is the time in the service when we invite you to come and share a joy, a sorrow. Lady Di has the sacred fire in her hands, as you see. The mic is working, and the floor is yours. Oh, y'all better come on now. I gotta stretch this to an hour. It's Mother's Day, you wanna get out of here?
Because I support Michael as well as I do, I'm going to speak slowly to take up as much time as I can. I have a sorrow. This month, for the first time that I can remember, we have had at least 7 members of our congregation with COVID. I'm happy to say none of them got it here, but, and 6 out of the 7 are 3 couples. So it's, like one gets it, of course the other one gets it, and so forth. So, but I'm sorry about that. And one, Ruth Marion, who you haven't seen in a while, she got it at a funeral for her best friend who didn't die from COVID. And at that funeral, 40 people came away with COVID, including Ruth. And she said she's had all 4 shots, and she's had a really bad time with this COVID. And she said, it made me think in sympathy and empathy for the people who got it in the beginning when there were no shots. And she said, if this is as bad as I got it with 4 shots, I can't even imagine what it was like early on. So.
I just want to voice a concern for mothers currently in my life that I'm close to. One who's a really good friend who has a difficult son they've really made some connections lately. One, my daughter, who struggles with a child with long COVID who isn't progressing very well. Another one who's my daughter-in-law who's having a current rough time with depression. And there's one more, and I can't, and a couple of mothers I know who have lost children to suicide or drugs.
Hi, I'm Anna Marcel de Hermanas, and we just had a great week with our New American families. Lots of things came together, so thank everybody who participated in any of these things I'm going to name. And that is, we had Eid celebration with our family and about 85 other Afghans out at Owen Park. And it was as happy as I have seen our family. They just were like, you know, in their element, doing exactly what they do in their own country, I think, just gathering together and sitting on the ground and talking with their hands, and and lovely food, and it was great. It was very tiring because it was hours and hours, but it was wonderful. We also finally got an interpreter to meet with Aziz and finish his asylum application, but continue to write your congressman to say, this does not make sense. People that we got out in an emergency have to show documentation that they were under threat. They were under threat. So even though we're filling out those applications, please keep pushing on our government to do the right thing. And then lastly, I think, is that, well, it's not last, but we found a house in Black Mountain as permanent housing for them. The woman who owns it met them, joined our circle, wants them to be in that house. It's $1,500 a month for a really nice house, which is unheard of right now. And Lutheran Services could only pay $1,200 a month. And I put it in the current last week, and thank you all, we have the money to pay the rent, the excess for the month, for the year, so. Joy, joy, joy.
Hi, I'm still Larry Perlman, and I have a joy to share, which I forgot, and that is, you all know that I occasionally remind you that we have this auction thing every year, and I always call it the gift that keeps on giving. Well, last night, we completed an auction item from last year. We had the storytelling evening, and there were 11 of us at Lake Tomahawk, 3 storytellers, and we just had a wonderful evening. And one of the really cool parts was, we were under the pavilion, but of course that's open, and there was a young woman, couldn't have been more than her early 20s, I would guess, who was just out on the lake, and she heard this going on, and she came over and she sat and listened to all the stories, and later she came back and thanked us and said what a wonderful time it was. So.
Hi, I'm Annie Bestel, and I haven't been here for a while, and one of the reasons is that I went to France for a family reunion. There were 50 of us, and 12 of us got COVID. And fortunately, we all had very mild cases, but for me, the problem was getting back to the US. You can't get back to the US if you've had COVID without going through all kinds of stuff. So first I had to wait to get a negative test, which took 9 days. And then we had to go through all kinds of rigmarole with TSA and the US government and all that. So if you plan on getting COVID out of the country, tack on a couple of weeks to your trip, because you won't get home. But I'm very grateful that we all got well, and there's worse things than staying an extra 9 days in Paris.
I'm Jim, and I just want to give you the latest update on Jace, our foster son, who's now in his new family. Being Mother's Day, I was really impressed that when I went out this morning for my hike and picked up yesterday's mail, Tori, his new mom, sent Aline a Mother's Day card. Aline's my wife. And of course, we sent cards to them. And the really good joy is that when Aline is out of town next month, they need somebody to take care of Jace for 24 hours while they go out of town. So Hoppy gets back into fostering, at least for 1 day then, and 7 days in July. So Jace is still in our lives.
I have a joy and also a sadness, and Anna has already mentioned this morning. My name is Jane Carroll, and we have had the Afghan family staying with us in our downstairs apartment for 4 months now. And every day I've been able to hold that little girl. And so I'm really going to miss having her down there and being able to hold her and have her crawl to me. But she's just going to be in Black Mountain. And so my joy is that they will be close to family here in Black Mountain and have found a great home.
Yes, for those of you who I just had a moment, I forgot where it was. No, for those of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come up and share, know that we keep you in our hearts and in our minds. And you see everything that's going on in people's lives and the constant changing and the transitions. And this is life, but this is why you have community to help smooth the rough edges. And so we are grateful, and grateful for you. Thank you, Daddy. Okay, I want to share this. It's long, so I'm going to cut it. I'm going to edit it mentally as we do this. It's called Meditation for a Difficult Mother. And so what I want to do is, I'll just, as we go along, I want you to center yourselves as you do when you meditate or pray or call it, you will. And we will have the time of quiet afterwards, as usual. It's something to muse over. Mother's Day is the most celebrated holiday, according to Hallmark sales. It's also the most popular day to have dinner in America. But for those who've had or are still in relationship with difficult moms, there is an added stress, and it's called the mother wound. Some of us have had or do have difficult moms. It's a reality that we find hard to share at times, but nevertheless, it's true. Especially in our so-called Christian culture, one doesn't want others to misjudge them as unloving or unforgiving sons or daughters. You may be afraid that people simply won't understand, and so you may keep quiet about these things. Many in our culture do not understand the complexities of human relationships, especially when they're broken. It's important to know that you are not alone, and you don't have to struggle alone with moms who are broken or sick. You don't have to be ashamed, is number one. You are loved, and you are not responsible to fix your mother's brokenness. You need to grieve your losses. This is crucial. Hurt people hurt people. You must keep this in mind. There comes a time we need to accept the reality of our difficult mom and grieve the death of our expectations and our ideals of what a parent should be. You can begin to make different choices that are healthy for your children, your spouses, your lovers, your parents. We can stop becoming enablers for our difficult mothers so they can face the truth as well. You need to redefine motherhood, receiving mothering from another, your spiritual family, if you will, instead of dysfunctional family rules and expectations. Seek out friendships and invest in new relationships with other women who can give you that mothering. Not to become your mother. No, 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 no. But to give you mothering. You realize that your forgiveness, if and when it occurs, does not automatically mean reconciliation. For those of you who say, well, what is forgiveness? Mark Twain tells us that forgiveness is the fragrance that comes from the lavender after it's been stepped on. That's what I mean by forgiveness. It does not mean that your trust is freely granted or automatically restored. It doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries. You want to be healthy. But forgiveness just takes one. Reconciliation takes two. You can forgive and move on. You can forgive and not be in relationship. You need to establish boundaries. And so, although what I said in this meditation, if you will, may not apply to all of you, offer your understandings to support other people who have difficult mothers or parents in a season of difficulty. What the world needs isn't a pain-free version of your story. What the world needs is a compassionate, open heart that gives you the space to tell real stories. And so now, while I have your attention, while our minds are one for this brief moment, I leave you with the eloquence of silence. And so it is. The greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And so it is in this spirit that we collect this morning's offering.
A surprise. price that we pay. Open the door, there's so much more. Room for how you're growing, always room for more. Room for more, yeah, yeah, yeah. When you walk with the Lord and your feet start to get sore, there's a song you can sing as you go. It won't take long if you sing along, and you sing it kinda sweet and low. Don't walk away, you know the way. A light shines inside you and it will not go away. Trust what you feel, that's how you make it real. Your heart is the keystone, your will is the wheel. It's the wheel, yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta sing that one more time. Don't walk away, you know the way. A light shines inside you and it will not go away. Trust what you feel, that's how you make it real. Your heart is the keystone, your will is the wheel. It's the wheel, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to, well, let's show Bill a little more love. I want to share with you a very bad joke. But it's from our board member, Barbara Bryant. And I work for the board. Deep, well, maybe high up is a better word. I could mess this up. On the mountains of the Himalayas, there's an ancient temple that has been there probably in a way since time began. And there are monks at this temple, and they're doing what monks do. The deepest meditation, the deepest silence they're experiencing. And once a year, a monk gets to say just 2 words. So the first year goes by, and one monk says, oatmeal lump. Another year goes by. Am I doing all right, Bob?
Well done.
Another year goes by, and another monk says, oatmeal fine. The third year comes, and the monk says, I'm leaving. And they're in shock. They're like, why? Why would you do that? You're home here. You're going to go out there with them? He says, I can't stand the bickering. I was only told that once, an hour ago. There are some who attribute the Mother's Day celebration to Unitarian Julia Ward Howe. She began Mother's Day as part of an international peace movement after the Civil War. And she believed that Howe believed that mothers understood the real lessons the loss of war, where needless deaths occurred for mothers across the land. Well, across the world, but across the land. She's also noted, if you remember, for writing the lyrics to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. She was an abolitionist. Her own mother died when she was 5 years young, and her first child was christened by Unitarian Christian minister Theodore Parker in the city of Rome in 1844. Howe was visiting Rome with her family. She was in Italy that year, and he just happened to be there as well. She was the mother of 5 children. Her 6th child died in childbirth. In 1870, she wrote a Mother's Day Proclamation, which we read earlier this morning, to oppose war and to promote peace in families and in women's political lives. And she envisioned the first Mother's Day as a time for women to gather, to grieve, and to find a peaceful solution to war. In 1873, women in 18 American cities held Mother's Day peace gatherings. However, during her lifetime, there was never any formal recognition of Mother's Day. No Hallmark card moments, if you will, because it did not become an official holiday until 1915. Enter Ms. Anna Jarvis. Now, Ms. Jarvis is called the mother of modern day Mother's Day celebrations. I'm going to bring it up to where we are now. I just want to set the table for you. When Anna's mother died in 1905, she asked the minister of her church to do a sermon in memory of her mother, and she and others petitioned Congress to set aside a day to honor mothers. There's an irony in this. In 1910, the governor of West Virginia proclaimed the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day, and a year later, every state followed suit. In 1914, President Woodrow Wilson made Mother's Day a national holiday, the second Sunday of May. It's the most popular day, as I told you. If you're going out today, make sure your wallet's full. There's a certain irony in women having to petition men to honor mothers. Mothers who gave birth to these men before they had this political power. Mothers who lost and loved and their husbands, their children, their fathers, their friends, lovers to a war that men started. Life has a sense of irony. And here we are. Mothers being pregnant in Kiev, in Ukraine, trying to raise children in time of pandemic. I mean, it's all been done before in human history. We're not doubting that. Even raising children during time of war, it's I don't know, I couldn't even imagine. But here we are. Here we are. The Reverend Lynn Unger, a UU minister, says that Mother's Day sermons are difficult. I agree. For every person who brings a mother to church physically or emotionally that is cherished, loved, and appreciated, there are other mothers, well, there are always others, who are scarred from the inadequate jobs their mothers did in raising them. The same can also be said of fathers. I think I'm off this Father's Day. Perhaps this is true due to the high expectations we have of our mothers. I mean, you have to remember they're only human, and this doesn't give license to abuse or what have you, but these are human beings, and when you come to planet Earth and you put this shell on, this vehicle, this body, call it what you will, there are rules that you have to abide by. And so, generally speaking, I count myself as one of the fortunate ones. And I'll give you an illustration about my life. My mother comes to mind, carrying me in the sweltering heat of a Baltimore summer in 1957, carrying my brother in August 1960. No instruction manual comes with this. Living with, in American apartheid with 2 male children of color. Teaching us to love when it could have been easy to teach us otherwise. Giving us values that would get us through life as long as we had it. My brother was murdered, but things happened. And so my mom dealing with that, still dealing with that. Her sense of humor, her love of music and literature were passed on to us. At times, she shared her dreams, her disappointments, her own wounds. I have a difficult mother. But she passed on her dignity, her zest for life, committed to her faith in a just God. Not my God, but her God. All of these things I remember. She had her flaws. She and I have worked through a lot of therapy for me. But we did what we needed to do. Was it perfect? No. It took forgiveness on both our parts. Forgiveness of each other, but forgiveness of ourselves. I had to feel the pain of my own legitimate anger. My anger directed at her. My mother was a young woman of color and single in the late 1950s. She had her own family of origin issues. It was a hot mess. But I had the luxury of this whole therapy to help me. She did not. She listened to me and she tried not to get defensive and shut down, and vice versa. I say all that to say that you know what you have to do to move on and to stay in relationship or not with your mom. This is a hard holiday. Hurry up. Okay? Don't wait on my parade. That's you got your own problem. I got a good mom back here. I got you. Just kidding. I'm not saying that this has to work for you, but that's how I survive. Life is a journey. Parenthood is a journey. And so you can rejoice in that. The longest journey you'll ever travel, remember, is from ear to ear. And so perhaps you have a mother or mother figure you want to appreciate today, then by all means you need to do that. You need to do that. If mother is still alive, there's time to communicate and time to forgive. Let her know how much you love and cherish her. Of course, don't tell her that if you don't feel bad. But if she's died, you can still communicate. That energy is still there. If she's transitioned, you can still communicate with her. Let her know. Forgive yourself, forgive her. For those who have had a difficult time with mother, again, forgiveness is the key. It's the only way that I know how. I wish I could tell you otherwise. But if you don't, you're going to carry a ball and chain for the rest of your life. And who wants to do that? Mother's Day compels us to reflect upon our own relationship with our mothers, unique relationships. Perhaps your mother was distant or aloof. Perhaps she was overbearing and abusive. Perhaps she was completely absent from your life, physically, as well as emotionally. She might have suffered from mental illness or substance abuse. We carry those scars of that upbringing to this very day. Our memory of our mothers may be fraught with difficulty and pain. Pain from the reality of our childhood, of our childhoods, and unfulfilled dreams. But this is the day that mass marketers on Madison Avenue hold up one particular segment of our society, women who have given birth. Women who have given birth, they're blameless, they're perfect. You see what we did with Mary Magdalene. It's a mess. Causing women viewing women through our own cultural images, making others feel totally inadequate. It takes more to being a mom than just having a child. And so, let's remember, not all women want to become mothers, right? Some never did. Perhaps their bodies didn't cooperate, or they've been turned down by adoption agencies. There may be some women here who desire to become mothers and never did. To be reminded of this loss can be painful, and we extend our compassion to these sisters this day. Finally, there are women who are perfectly content not to have children, and we do not want to make you feel excluded either. There are many reasons not to preach on Mother's Day. Yet recognizing that all relationships, especially with mom, are complex, it's still fitting and right to honor our mothers today. To acknowledge that they are and that they were only human beings with grace and beauty, with faults, with flaws and frailties and failings. We need to embrace all of it. Mothers carry life, and therefore they have a significant relationship with humanity. They pass their wisdom on to us, intentionally or not. And if we are fortunate enough or lucky enough, they pass on their love as well. They do this in order that we not only learn to live in the world, but we survive. And so we go back to Paul McCartney, right? His mother died when he was 14 years old. And he remembered her words of wisdom when life was difficult. And he didn't want to accept the things that life in a body, in a human body, offers. He says, so obviously, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom. Just let it be. For those of you who are parents out there, remember that one day we will be gone. And we will be the ancestors. We will make mistakes. And I pray we have the courage to do that. I pray that we will want to have, and this is important, that you want to have the strength to love. That you want to know. Listen to what I said. My prayer is not that we have the strength to love. My prayer is that you want to have the strength to love, because that's the difficult part. Not the loving, but to want it. And if we really search ourselves, and if we're really honest with ourselves, we have to admit, there are some people we don't want to love. Some people I don't want to love. I'm not that evolved. So I just want the strength to want to love. Someday we will return to the Great Mother, the earth, and that will be a homecoming indeed. That will be a celebration. So this day I salute you, mothers. I salute all those who have mothered us during our lives. Teachers, clergy, blame takers, risk takers, guardians, role models, nurturers, defenders, life givers, those who have disciplined us for our own good. Like us, they were not perfect. They are the voices in our head that simply won't go away. Indeed, they are humanity itself. Peace be with you. Happy Mother's Day. And let it be. Let's go home. Please rise. Our closing hymn, 163. For the earth forever turning, 163. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our guest artists and to our maestro. Please give them a round of applause. I want you to remember these words. If you love something, you set it free. If it comes back, it will always be yours. If it doesn't come back, it was never yours to begin with. But if it sits in your living room, messes up all your stuff, eats up all your food, uses your telephone, spends all your money, and it doesn't realize that you set it free, you either married it or you gave birth to it.